DCENTRAL, it has become an absolute mania. If you're thinking about Metaverse and NFTs, this is the place to be. Here in Miami. This is going to be a fun one. My name is Paul Bear. Welcome back into the Tech Path. Let's get into it today. We're going to talk about Spatial.
Yes.
Jacob, it's great to meet you. Great to have you on the show.
Honor is all mine. Thank you so much.
All right, so let's do a couple of things here. First of all, let's get into what you guys have done on Spatial over the last year, because you kind of shifted a little bit in terms of where your direction was going. Update me a little bit there.
100%. So basically, we used to be an enterprise collaboration platform working with big companies like Siemens, people that really wanted to facilitate collaboration from their offices around the world. But we decided to open it up. We said we saw people weren't primarily using Spatial on headsets. We saw we were getting a lot of artists and creators asking to use Spatial. So we opened up, we made it available on web, we made it available on mobile. And we also integrated with the blockchains that people are most excited about, right? So Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, and that led to just a complete pivot and change into what Spatial is about. So we went from being a collaboration platform to really being a social network in 3D. And so today we've had, last 12 months, over 2 million users and creators from all walks of life, whether they want to create an art gallery, host a concert, bring their community into Spatial, or whether they're a brand that wants to connect with their consumers more deeply. Those are the primary users on Spatial today.
So good pivot. I think that was excellent. The aspect of typically when you see a pivot like that, being able to bring in community and/or artists, how do you get that vision conveyed to them? So I was looking at your website. You got Hublot on here. All right, you've got some pretty amazing programs that you've developed in terms of business relationships. There's Agora. Talk to me about what you guys how'd you sell that in?
So I think there's three primary things we do. So one is, I think we think of ourselves as being like a product-led company, which is to say that a lot of the folks that start using Spatial just end up in one of the experiences. They come to our website, they try it out, and it just sort of clicks for them.
Yeah.
A second big piece of it is we really, really invest in our community. So whether it's through channels like Discord, through Twitter, Jake, who's our wonderful director of community, really invests time, whether it's connecting with creators that are going to build 3D spaces, or artists that come in and are like, I'm an artist, but I don't know how to build something. And we really try and create a robust community where not only are we communicating and helping people, but the community sort of helps each other.
Right.
And then there's a B2B2C part of it, which is we have really great relationships with a lot of agencies around the world. And those are really the folks who are primarily working with the brands. So for example, we work with a company called Exclusible. They're really incredible. They both create NFTs themselves, but also work with brands who want to get into Web3. And they handle everything from the strategy and the vision to actually helping create the spaces. There's a subdivision called Polycount within Exclusible that does that work, and they're incredible. So those three components, really depending on which bucket you fit into, helps people get started.
That's an interesting scenario, because right now when you look at Metaverse or you look at the evolution of where NFTs have gone, the brand connectivity it's been good. I won't say it's bad. Outside of Polygon, I would say they're the kings of biz dev right now in terms of just the deals they put together.
For sure.
But when you look at a lot of these emerging brands, I was looking, just Hublot kind of hit me where it counts, and that is, I'm a big watch collector, so I love any kind of the Lux items going into the space. Do you see the potential here more so on the Lux brands moving into this space first, or do you think we might see traditionals outside of Nike and Disney and those? What are your thoughts?
I think there's a huge interest on the part of luxury brands, because I think obviously there's like a luxury item is a big ticket item. It costs a lot of money. And so I think they see an opportunity to essentially create something that's more affordable and to start connecting with people perhaps a bit earlier in the user journey, bring them in, enable them to own something digital, so they're able to go, I think, like a bit more up the funnel before someone's, ready to buy a Hublot watch, or ready to buy some of the, we work with Vogue as well, ready to buy some of the fashion that's advertised in Vogue. But on the other hand, you do have brands that are not necessarily like luxury brands also getting involved. So for example, like we work with Mattel, and Mattel is coming at it from the other way, where they're selling toys. A lot of the time the toys are readily available, but I think they also recognize that what's happening is there's an element of their community that really is into collectibles or into some of the rare items that they sell, and so this gives them an opportunity to cater to that part of the community more easily without having to just sell something that's a physical good, and that's a really big deal.
Jacob, okay, so when you think about projects that you feel like have the capacity to make it, one, through the bear market, but more importantly, some of the concepts that we might see on the other side. Because there's a lot of building going on right now. If you look at some of the major chains, you got the leaders and the losers, and there's a handful of projects that are just now being birthed that I feel like are right there on the edge of really kind of leveling up. And some of the projects that we've watched since last October, a year ago, they're struggling a little bit. Typically, it's usually a runway problem. They're losing devs, whatever it might be. What do you think is going to be the critical part of Metaverse and NFT expansion over the next year or two?
Man, that is
fashion, gaming. There's so many places it could go.
So I think there are a couple of parts to your question that are important to address. So I think on the first side, there's a very operational part that I think is important, which is how does a project survive right now? And I think a lot of the venture funding has dried up. I think in a bear market, there's now skepticism towards some of the previous ways that these projects could raise money, right? Like in the metaverse world, people were selling land or issuing tokens, and demand for that has really plummeted. So I think bootstrapping is really the name of the game right now. If you don't have, a big war chest in order to do what you're doing.
Huge. Okay, Jacob. So let's go into kind of the future. When you look at the variances of whether it's NFT, Metaverse, especially in terms of development, there's a lot of different companies that maybe not even have made their mark just yet. Very early on, a lot of companies are starting to fade.
Yep.
In terms of devs, runway, all that. When you look at that and you think about 2-3 years, because that's really kind of the maturity set that's really we're faced with, you and Spatial, others, where do you think the sectors are going to fall? Gaming, fashion, any of those areas, or?
So I think essentially if you're talking about companies that need to bootstrap now and they can't just sell a vision and raise from selling a token or whatever it is, it means you essentially have to deliver utility right away, or you have to deliver cool right away, right? So first off, I think if whatever you're doing, unless you're really bringing some type of premium IP, I think if you're hoping that the IP that you create is going to become something like, Bored Ape Yacht Club level type of cool, I think that's a pretty low probability. So then I think you have to get into, utility or entertainment. And so gaming, I think, is already hitting, and I think it's doable to bootstrap a game given the tools that are available.
Yeah.
So I think, whether you build a game and you happen to include, Web3 elements in it, I think we're going to continue to see gaming develop. Fashion, for sure, especially because the brands are hungry, especially during a recession, for an opportunity to monetize, especially luxury brands, as talking about before. It's something that's a lower ticket item. So I think we're definitely seeing that. And even with the return to live entertainment that we're seeing, obviously we're coming through a different part of the pandemic. I think what people discovered with regards to live entertainment and experiential marketing is that it's very, very scalable when you do it in a digital context, right?
Well, and you have the hybrid component in there, because I think that, especially from an NFT standpoint, the opportunity for whether it's events, artists, etc., to really extend that whole experiential component changes dramatically. So
100%, 100%. So what we're seeing a lot is people hosting in-person events, with take Deminty, for example, who's a great partner of ours. They're having an in-person event here at Art Basel Miami with ICA, but then they're also streaming that into their metaverse space in Spatial at the same time.
Right.
And it gives them extensibility, because now it means, okay, they're part of what's happening IRL, but they know a lot of people aren't going to make it to Miami, and so it allows them to continue community building for people that aren't here. So I think just being practical and really trying to focus on a very narrow problem and just serving that. I think the last year people had these big visions. We're going to be, an NFT company, we're going to build IP, and we're going to have a metaverse and this and that. I would say stop throwing things at the wall. Focus on doing one thing really, really well, and just do that very well. And I think that's how companies will get to that 1 to next 2 years, and be in a place where they could raise money when the market comes back up.
Very cool. Jacob, great having you. Thanks for
I really
stopping in
appreciate
today,
it.
man.
Yeah, man, this was awesome.